Hey, everybody. We're back.
Are we?
Yeah, it's hard to tell sometimes, but
Still a little jet lagged.
yeah, especially her. I went diving yesterday, so it's okay. Welcome to episode number 252 of What Does This Button Do? It's an educational show about smartphones and technology with us, Geeks On Tour. Now, you want to do your thing there? We're a little out of practice. It's okay. Keep going there. So if you're here on YouTube, go ahead and please do all the things you're supposed to do. Subscribe to us. Make sure that those things are pushed.
Click the bell
Yeah.
so that you get notified whenever we're live.
But really, get our subscriptions up. We really
Getting close to 10,000.
It'll get there. Yeah. So click the bell, do the other stuff. Today's stuff, what we're doing today, Google Photos. And you have a tip?
Yeah, the main topic today is about making albums, but the main purpose of albums is to separate your best photos from the rest. And you could do that just with favorites. So here's a little video talking about favorites. Hi, this is Chris Gould with Geeks On Tour, and in this video I want to show you a little bit about Google Photos favorites. I take lots of photos for all sorts of reasons, and conventional wisdom says that I'm supposed to keep my best and delete the rest. That's too much work. I say keep them all and mark the best to separate them from the rest. Favorites is an easy way to do that. Let me show you how. Here's my Google Photos library using the computer, going to photos.google.com and being signed in as me. I will show you how to do this on the phone after the computer. So I take tons of photos for all different reasons. So I took a picture of this bottle of wine because I wanted to remember it. I really liked it. And I also take pictures of receipts. Well, this is a lot of garbage to wade through to see just my pretty photos, my memorable, my keepers. The way you mark as favorites is you just open a photo and you click the little star. And I'm going to do that on a few photos. From our recent trip to Bali. And you can select more than one at a time as well. I can check the little check mark on the thumbnail of the picture, then the three dots and favorite. And both of the selected pictures will now become favorites. Now, how do I see just my favorites? And I've marked a lot of other ones as well. Over on the left-hand menu, favorites. Just click there and voila! Now I am only seeing the photos marked as favorites. A much nicer experience than seeing all my garbage. Now let me show you on the phone. So this happens to be my Samsung Android phone, but it works the same on an iPhone. These are all my same library of photos. There's all the stupid receipts. And I want you to notice that the favorites I just marked on the computer have been marked on the phone. We're looking at the same set of pictures. So let me add a couple more. And you can do that the same as on the computer by opening a photo and tapping the star in the upper right hand corner. Or you can select by long pressing on a photo until you get that little check mark, and then you can tap the check mark on a couple other photos like that one, and then take a look at your options down at the bottom, and this is one of those weird little things in Google Photos. On the iPhone, you will see an option down here for favorites. All of the selected photos will be added to favorites. On the Android, that doesn't exist. So the only way to add to favorites on the Android is to select it, one picture, and tap the star. Now, how do you see your favorites? There's two ways, equally as easy. Either under search, you can find favorites. Now I am only seeing the photos marked as favorites. I'll back out of that to show you the other way. Go back to just all my photos. Under library, there's an option to see favorites. So now I am just looking at my favorite pictures. Favorites is by far the easiest way to separate your best photos from the rest.
Nicely done.
Separate the best from the rest. And favorites is the easiest way, but albums is another way, and that's going to be the rest of the show today.
Okay. Well, welcome all of our viewers to What Does This Button Do? I'm Jim, and here together with my wife Chris, we're Geeks on Tour. And do you think your smartphone is smarter than you? And do you have questions about your iPad or your mobile devices, and how do you learn? How do you learn about these?
We are geeks.
And we can prove it.
Also known as propeller heads.
Yeah.
But we are geeks who teach, and we think the best way to learn is on a regular basis with topics given in bite-sized pieces. So that's why we came up with this show, and boy, do we learn a lot by having to put this together each week.
Especially her, because she has to teach.
And all of our content is collected on our website at geeksontour.com. You can see it all there. Some of it is for members only. A lot of it is free.
Hey, so Chris, where are we?
Whew. I don't know. I don't know what day it is.
We really are back. We're in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in our studio, and we're glad to be back here. But we have been halfway around the world just this past month. We were in Indonesia.
And literally halfway. So it's when it's light here, it's dark there. When it's dark here, it's light there. And
it's getting used to.
It's been an adjustment.
It sure has been. So,
but oh my God, did we have a great time?
The diving was epic. It was really great, and we met some very nice people, and we traveled with some friends who we've traveled with before. It was great.
And we took a few pictures.
We took more than a few pictures, and I took underwater video, and there are some cool things.
There's still a lot more photography left to be shared.
I have a lot. How many dives did we do? How many did you do?
I think I did
34.
35. I don't know. I wrote it down somewhere.
Nearly 40 dives for me. She just did a few less than me.
Yeah, 35. 35.
So, and in a month, that's a lot of diving. But it was fun, and I took video on every single dive. She even took some pictures, and she doesn't do that.
Oh, that's right. I grabbed your camera for a couple times.
Right, and you even.
I figured he needed to get in the shot sometimes underwater.
So you'll see some of those pictures. Cool. And Jolin just says, "I love seeing your photos during the trip there, and look forward to the albums." Yeah. They're coming. I mean, it'll go into the same album, but I'll do my own stuff too.
Well, the videos, most of the videos, it's better on YouTube, so we'll be posting. You'll be posting some of your underwater videos on YouTube.
You'll be getting links for those. Yeah. Okay, so some of our live viewers. Julie's here from Miramar. She's just down the street. Detlef's in from Denver, where it's cool, but blue and sunny skies. I love Denver. It's great to see you there. And
hi,
Victoria.
Sheila.
Yeah, Sheila, how are you? Great to see you. And my old dive buddy Jimmy Lyon from LBI.
Thought of you a lot while we were diving over there.
A lot. So, yeah. Ron's from Riverside. Cool. Another Ron likes the intro. Thanks, Ron. Well, thanks to you, our premium members. You make our work possible, and there are some benefits to becoming a member. One of those things is our Backstage Pass, which is coming up right after this. It's a Zoom meeting where our members, our premium members, can come in and ask us anything, really, but just to chat and see how we're doing, and we get to visit, and it's a great way to touch base with everyone.
And you should have gotten an email with the link earlier today.
Okay. Chris wrote a book about Google Photos. Maybe you know about it. Maybe you even have a copy. I hope you do.
And chapter 8 is all about albums. And basically today, I'm just going through chapter 8. That's what we're doing. If you're interested, if you don't have the book and you're interested, you just go to geeksontour.com, and there's a button at the top that says Learn Google Photos book. It'll tell you how to get it.
Okay.
And if you're a member, you already have it. It's online in our membership area.
And if you have the book, there's updates to it that are live. It's really pretty cool. There we go. No, that's the one. Okay, what does it mean to organize your photos?
What does it
Chris?
mean to organize your photos? I've come up with this thing that I call the inner photo organizer scale. So people are different, right? Everybody's different. Some people think organizing their photos is not something they want to do. Others are more than happy to spend hours and hours and hours on it. So I have this scale of 1 to 5, meaning from lazy to ambitious. So depending on where you are, I say that the 1, 2, and 3 are on this slide. All photo organizing tutorials, experts, books that I have looked at agree that number 1 is to gather all of your photos in one place. That is the step number 1. And that is Google Photos' primary purpose. Its raison d'etre is to get all your photos, put them in the cloud in one place in date taken order. So that's all you have to, if you are a lazy photo organizer, step 1 is just get Google Photos and let it upload all your photos. You're done. You can find any photos, you can view them all by date. But if you are a little bit more ambitious, I suggest that you separate the best from the rest using favorites. As you've just already seen in the first video, all you have to do is click the star. Now you can see just your best. But with just a little bit more effort, you can make albums. You can showcase your best work in your albums. You can just collect pictures by topic in an album, or you can tell a story. And that is primarily what this whole episode is about. That's where I'm at. I am a number 3. I do believe in making albums, but I am not a 4 or a 5. If you are a 4, it means that you believe that every photo should have a place, and if it doesn't have a place, then it should be deleted. You also probably want to manually rename every photo and tag it with your special tags. You can't even do that in Google Photos. You need other tools for that. So I'm talking to you 1, 2, and 3s here. Oh, I'm the one doing this. So, making albums. Once again, it's chapter 8 in the book. You need to select photos. We'll have questions, yeah. There's 2 ways. You can either create a blank album and then add photos to it, or I think the best way is to select a group of photos and then say make an album with it. You tap the plus that appears below the photos, choose Create Album, type a title, and then you're done. You can see that album under the Library tab. And we have a little video here. It's specifically about travel albums, but you can make any kind of album you want using these instructions. Hi, this is Chris Gould with Geeks On Tour, and I want to show you the quick and easy way to use Google Photos to keep your travel albums so that you are all done by the time you get home. Don't be like people who take a 1-week trip and say they took so many pictures it's going to take them 2 weeks once they get home to organize it. No, let me show you how. So first of all, we're using Google Photos. You recognize that icon, I hope. For purposes of this video, I'm going to take you back to December 2015 when my husband and I took a trip to Cuba, a very special trip. And I can just scroll right back there. So the first day of our trip was December 4, 2015. And here we are taking a selfie at the airport. Right away, what I'm going to do is start an album. You just swipe up on the photo and tap on Add to Album and New Album. Give it a name and tap the check mark. I now have an album started. And as I take more pictures, so remember, I'm pretending that we're just going on this trip right now. Got it? And I'm taking pictures all day. And I say, oh, I so like these pictures of the old cars. So I tap one. I say, gee, that looks pretty good. I want to add that to the album. Swipe up, Add to Album, and it will be in your Recents 2015 Cuba trip. Now notice I have a lot of pictures of the old cars. Some people would say delete all the ones that you don't want to keep, and then what you're left with is the good ones. But I say I can't delete any of these. These are all great. But for purposes of my album, I'm just going to choose 1 or 2. Now here's one of my I really like this one, a red car. Swipe up, Add to Album, Cuba trip. Now realize you can be doing this as you're on the trip. You take a picture, you say that's a great one, you add it to the album. Done. Now I'm not saying you should never delete. I mean, this picture is obviously a mistake. I can just tap the trash can and it will be removed from my Google account and from the device that took the picture. But since Google gives me free unlimited storage, no reason to delete if I don't need to. You can also add videos to your album. I love this one. Swipe up, Add to Album, 2015 Cuba trip, and then go back to your library. If you see several you want, you can select them. Touch and hold, select another one, tap the plus, and add to 2015 Cuba trip. Now at this point in the trip, we took a bus from Havana to the Bay of Pigs, and I want that picture and that picture, and then we have to have some picture of food, right? Plus and Cuba trip. But I want some description in my album, so let's go take a look at the album now. Go to Albums and 2015 Cuba trip, and there's just a bunch of pictures. Right at this point, I want a map and some text telling the story of our trip. To do that, you tap the 3 dots, Edit Album, and Map, and done. You can drag it into place, touch and hold until it kind of gets attached to your finger, and move down to where you want it to be, and let go. Now I also want to add some text. And check mark on the whole album. Now you will need Wi-Fi in order to do this while you're on the trip, and there wasn't much in Cuba, but pretty much every day we had some place where there was Wi-Fi, which would mean our photos were automatically uploaded and we could play with making our albums at any time while you're on the bus or waiting for dinner. No problem. And if you chose to share your album while still on your trip, your family and friends see your photos as you add them. And by the time you're home, it's all done. Two comments on that video. One, it was made a while ago, so you may have noticed that it said that you have free unlimited storage. That is no longer true. You only have 15 gigabytes of unlimited storage, but if you pay just $20 a year, you get 100 gigabytes, and that will last quite a while. Secondly, I just want to comment about sharing your albums. Sharing your albums is so great. I loved getting everybody's comments on our Indonesia album because we were sharing it as we went. We did a whole other episode, 235. Yeah, episode 235. If you go to geeksontour.com and our YouTube show page, you can find episode 235, and we did the whole thing about sharing travel albums. Okay, so that video showed you mostly about how to do it on the phone. Let me demonstrate now about creating an album using the web version of Google Photos. So here is my Google Photos. And as we've mentioned, we just got back from Indonesia, and our last week was spent in Bali. So let's say I want to make an album of just about Bali. Here's all these photos. I'm just going to start picking some. This one was in Bali, and this I think there were these statues everywhere, and I really liked that one. And that one. Notice I've already marked them as favorites. So I could actually search for Bali favorites and get a good start for this album. But I just want to show you going through and selecting pictures. I love this one. What was this called? Elephant
Cave.
Elephant Cave. And it was a Hindu.
It was Hindu, yeah.
Palace, not palace, what's the word? I forget the word. Anyway.
Temple,
right.
And there was a Buddhist temple in the same place.
Same spot.
It was very cool.
Okay, so I have selected 7 pictures. If I want to add them to a new album, I click the plus up here on top and album. And I can add it to an existing album, but no, I say I want to create a new album, and I'll just call it Bali. And check mark. I now have a Bali album. If I go back to my main menu under albums, there is Bali. So now you're seeing just my selected, my best. Please don't select all of your pictures from Bali and put them in an album. That's stupid. The purpose of making an album is to have something that's enjoyable to look at, that you're not looking at all the duplicates that you took in order to get a good photo. Okay, now one thing I want to make sure you realize, you can add video as well. And so let me find a video here. Yeah, I was just amazed at going down the road. There was a temple, every block. And
look at all those motorbikes.
And all these scooters. Okay, so I want to add this one to the album as well. Add to album. Now this time I'm not going to create a new album. I'm going to add it to the Bali album. Okay. Now, this is Bali. I already have made an album about Indonesia. It included Bali. The pictures are stored in my library. They're only stored once. But so let's say that I know that this picture is in my Indonesia diving album. I can also add the same picture to the Bali album. So now, and when you're on the web version and you open a picture, you can see the albums that it is included in. So this one picture is in Bali album and in the 2023 Indonesia diving album. Now, what happens then if I trash this picture? Hasn't it's been copied to the Bali and Indonesia diving, right?
No.
If I delete it, let me go look at the Bali album first. I look at the Bali album, that picture is there. If I go back to just my photos, my grid, my library of all photos, and delete that picture, it's gone. That picture is gone. Therefore, it cannot be showing in the Bali album anymore. It's also gone from the Indonesia album. So don't do that. Photos are not copied into the albums. It's just a pointer to the original. Now, I want that really is one of my favorite photos. I want it back. So I'm going to go to the trash and I'm going to select that photo and restore. So that's putting it back. Now if I go to the Bali album, it's back in the album. That's pretty cool. Okay. Where are we now? Let's see. So that's making albums. You just select the photos, click the plus, make an album. One picture can be in many albums. It's stored in your library. If you delete it from your library, it is gone from everywhere. Now, adding photos to an existing album, there's two ways. I've already shown you one, but you can start with the photo and add to album, or you can start with the album and add a photo. So if I'm in the Bali album, I can click this little icon with a plus, and that says add photos. Now I'm looking at my library and I can add a photo. You click a photo and click done. That photo is now added. Or you can be looking at your photos and click a photo and add to album. So either direction, wherever you are, you can make it work. There is one little problem. The Bali album and the Indonesia album are brand new. They're right at the top of my list, but I have hundreds of albums. There's a little bit of a problem, and we have a video when you're looking to add photos to old albums. If you use Google Photos and you make a lot of albums, which I think you should, you may have run into this problem. When you pick a photo and you want to add it to an album that you made a while ago, you have to scroll through a long list of albums. There's no search at that particular point. I'm Chris Gould with Geeks On Tour, and I want to show you my workaround for this Google Photos album problem. So I'm browsing through my photos, and I see this pretty picture of a flower, and I seem to recall having made an album a long time ago for my best flower pictures. I want to add this to that album. But here's my problem. I have hundreds of albums, and I will go bug-eyed before I find the one for flowers. What I need to do is get it into this recent section. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back and search for flowers and hope that so here, Chris Flowers. That is the album that I would like to put that photo in. I just have to do something to this album. So I'm going to go into Edit Album, And I'll just change the order of these flowers and check the checkbox. Now, when I go back to that flower and click on Add to Album, okay, on the computer, I had to refresh the screen. So now I have to find that flower again. Refresh gets it to notice that I edited the flowers album. So I gotta find that flower. 3 dots, add to album. And now Chris's flowers are showing up in the recent, and I can click to add that flower to that album. So that is my workaround for the problem of adding photos to older albums when you have a lot of albums.
Great. We have a few questions here. Let's see. Michael asks, is there a way to combine 2 albums, or even better yet, if there was a way to select photos from an album and create a new album, and then also select photos from a different album to add them?
You just said it right there, Michael. That's exactly how you do it. You can select photos from one album and add them to another. So let me show you how. So I can look at my Bali album, and there's only 8 or 10 photos in it. But if I go to the 2023 Indonesia, I can, and Bali was at the end, I can select, and if I'm selecting one that's already in the Bali, it doesn't make any change. So I've selected 11 more pictures. I click the plus and album. I selected them in the Indonesia diving album. I'm adding them to the Bali album. So that's how you do it. And there is no command to combine 2 albums, but you just, if you have album A and B, you can go to B, select all with click and shift click, or dragging through them all on the phone, and then add to A. Now A has all of B's photos in it. Hope that helps.
Okay, Debbie says, can we do this offline, like when no internet for 7 days this May?
You might have internet sometime, won't you? But generally, no. Most of this requires an internet connection. However, if you are taking the photo on your phone, then Google Photos will see the photo on your phone. You can't go to your computer and do it because that requires that the photo have been uploaded to the web so that you can see it on your computer. But on the phone, you can select photos and add to album. You'll get a message. They'll be added to an album once you're online. Albums are cloud-based things. So an album can't get created unless you have an internet connection. But if you're on your phone that took the photo, you can do that, and it will happen when you do have an internet connection.
Okay, if I share an album with a friend, will they receive ongoing notifications each time I add photos to the album?
Maybe yes and maybe no.
They have to join the album, right?
If your friend uses Google Photos, then they will have the option to join the album. And at that point, they all get notifications. Somebody who's watching here and watched our Indonesia album Let G-Link know you got notifications every day, right? When we added photos to our album, it went beep, beep, because then many of you made comments on our photos and we got notified beep, beep, beep.
During the trip. It was
whenever we had an internet connection.
And we had it fairly regularly, although there were some times when it was non-existent. Thank goodness for Kindle books, right?
Yeah, when we didn't have. I thought you were going to say thank goodness for Google Fi.
Oh, right. That's how we did get it in many places where it wasn't available. There was Wi-Fi on the boat, but it was reliant on their own cellular,
right,
and your location on the boat. So
whenever the boat had Wi-Fi, we had cellular on our phones because we could connect to the same towers using Google Fi.
And sometimes it worked. Okay.
Okay, Linda.
Linda has she's late. I hope you brought a note.
We'll see you backstage.
Right, and talking about backstage, that's a benefit for our premium members, the folks who support us, and it's a great thing. So we'll have a backstage pass, talk about it later, right?
So a couple more things on albums. When you are looking at your list of albums, each album is represented by a photo. That's called the cover photo. So, and a cover photo is selected automatically for you. What if you want to change it? Very easy. You just open the album, open the photo you want to be the cover, tap the three-dot menu, or swipe up on the photo and select Use as Album Cover. So let me show you that. I'm going to show you that on the phone this time. Although you can do it on the computer just as well. But I'm going to show it on the phone. So I will go to Library is where my list of photos, my list of albums show up. So if I go to the Bali, look, the Bali album just has a picture of me and Jim as the cover. No. It has to be something that looks a lot more like Bali. So I want this picture of the elephant cave to be my cover photo. I'll open it and I will swipe up and Use as Album Cover. Now, when I go back and I look at my albums, Bali is shown with that elephant cave as the cover photo. Okay. Next thing, change sort order. So let's say that, or first you need to understand, what is the normal sort order of an album? Albums are kind of meant to tell a story. So they start with the earliest photo and follow chronologically in time to the end. So they are earliest first, and then it goes down to the latest. If you don't want it that way, you can open the album, click the three-dot menu, choose Edit Album, and then the fourth tool with that little up and down arrow is the sort order. You can choose oldest first, newest first, or recently added. You can also drag items around. So I'm going to show this on the phone, and I'm going to use that Bali album because it's a little less complicated than the big one. So this was the earliest picture. If I tap the three-dot menu and edit, then I have this up and down arrow, and I can say, well, I'm going to keep adding. I like it the way my normal library is. I want the newest first. And then you check mark. Okay. Now it's the newest one first, and as you scroll down, you're going back in time. But no, I have a particular idea of how I want these arranged. To do that, three dots, edit, and now you can just drag them around. I can say, I want this one first just because it's so colorful. I touch and hold on it. I drag up to the top. I want this one kind of in the middle. Yeah, next to other places where dinner is being had. and that's good enough. I tap the check mark. That is a custom order. I've dragged them around. If you ever go back in and you make it oldest first or newest first, you're going to lose that custom order. It will do it by date. So that's how to change the order of your photos. Sort order. Open album. Edit album is the main key. Notice when you edit album, you get several tools over there. Text, map, sort order. Can you do it? Oh, and next is removing photos from albums. Photos are stored only once in the library. So I've already shown you, right? If you delete a photo from your library, it's gone from any album that you put it in. One photo can be in many albums. If you change your mind and say, no, I don't want it in this album, you just remove it. Let me show you that. And I will do that also on the phone. Can be done on the computer just as well, but maybe you don't have a computer with you wherever you're taking your pictures.
The horse. How can that be?
So let's say that I've decided I don't like this picture. Which one? Oh, of the sign about the waterfall. I like the picture of the waterfall, and I've written a little description on that of what the waterfall is. So I don't need that sign. What you do is 3-dot menu, or just swipe up. On the phone, you can just swipe up. That does the exact same thing as the 3-dot menu. And remove from album. That leaves the photo in your library. I have not deleted that photo. I've just removed it from this album. I can also delete the entire album. I just tap the 3 dots and notice delete album. I might want to show you some other things, so I'm not going to do that. But if I delete the album, well, it does get, yeah. It tells you deleting an album is permanent. Your photos and videos will remain in Google Photos. If I delete it, the Bali group of photos is gone, but the photos themselves are still in your library. I'm going to keep the album though. Okay. So that was delete album. Yes. Adding to there were a couple questions. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do a couple questions first, and then I have just 2 more things, and we're done.
Okay. I think, can you put a title on your cover photo?
A title on your cover. Oh. If you have an Android, there is a Google Photos editing menu called
Markup?
Markup, thank you. Where you can add text to a photo. If you don't have Android, then you have to add the text to a photo another way. I think what you're talking about, let me show you in my photos. I made an extra little album here. Actually, I made a movie. That's a whole other story of the doorways in Bali. And so I took one of the pictures. Where is it? And I made, there we go. So I made this photo. I did a screenshot of a map, and I used the Google Photos markup option in editing on my Android phone, and I added those words, doorways of Bali and all photos taken along a 20-minute stretch. And then I use that just as my cover photo. So yes, where there's a will, there's a way. If you don't have Android, so therefore you don't have the markup tool, I recommend Snapseed. In fact, I may have done that in Snapseed anyway. I don't remember now. But on the iPhone, you can add text using the Snapseed app, which is a free companion from Google.
And that works on the iPhone as well.
Yes.
Since unlimited storage is no longer available, why would I keep my unfavorites?
Okay, well, if the main thing is just its work. For me, I would rather pay the $20 a year than make the work, the effort to delete all those. But the other thing is that I don't want to delete them. I mean, I took the picture of that bottle of wine for a reason. No, it's not a favorite photo, but I may sometime, gee, remember that wine that we had on Turkish Air?
Yeah, right. It was the Turkish wine,
yeah,
wasn't it?
right. You know, I want to keep that photo and all those cars in Cuba. I don't want to delete any of them, but if you're the kind who wants to make sure that everything is clean, then go ahead. Be my guest.
Number 4 type, right?
Yeah, you're a number 4, right? I'm a number 3. I don't want to work deleting photos.
Hi, Betsy. Good to see you. Can you do it by alpha instead of date?
Okay. Not with the photos inside an album, but let me show you something. I will do it on the phone. So if I'm looking at an album, I'll look at the Bali album, and I want to sort. So I have to go into Edit and then Sort. These are my only choices. It's by date. You know, oldest first, newest first, or the recently added. Or dragging them around, you get custom. But what you might be referring to is when I look at just all my albums are in order by the most recent photo. But I do have the choice to sort my albums by title, alphanumeric. So now I am not seeing my most recent albums. I am seeing the albums that start with special characters or that start with numbers and then that start with A, etc., etc. They are in alphanumeric. To have alphanumeric for your photos within an album, Google doesn't care at all what the photo file name is. It just doesn't even look at the photo file names, and you cannot change file names using Google Photos.
Okay, Carol Hopkins, you will love this. How do I change the cover photo for an album?
Go back and review this video in YouTube. We did that. You open the album, you tap 3 dots. I mean, you find the photo that you want to be the cover. 3 dots, use as album cover.
Cool.
Okay. Was that, wait a minute, there were 2 other things. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. How we doing? We're
Fine.
okay. I do have, there's 2 other, these last 2 things are somewhat advanced. I wanted to keep this show basic, but adding text to your album, there are 3 ways. If you add a description to a photo, that stays with the photo wherever you are. And if you're viewing the photo, you can view the description, kind of like a caption. The text block is something that shows up when you're looking at the overall album. And comments can be seen if you're looking at a shared album where people are allowed to comment. So let me demo that, and I will do it on the phone. And let me put my albums back in most recent photo so I can show you the Indonesia. So if you are just looking at the Indonesia album, look at all this text that it starts with. I used the text block to give instructions to people, telling you we'll be adding photos as the trip progresses. We're still going to be adding a few more photos through February and March. You can click the link that brought you, etc., etc. Then there's a couple of photos. Then there's a thanks to our Geeks on Tour members for all the tips about travel. Then there's a bunch of photos. Then there's another text block. But you only see this if you're looking at the overall album. So notice here, if I open just this photo and go to the next photo and the next photo, right after this one, there was that text block. You do not see it as you are looking at the individual photos. But you do see, look at this, no food for Jim. He was up much of the night, I guess, with food poisoning. That was one of the first nights of the trip. That was not a good one. But you can see that as you're looking at the individual photos in full screen. Where is that text added? You swipe up on the photo and it's in the description area. So when you type there, you will see it when you're looking at that. And then lastly is comments. So in a shared album, we shared this album with all y'all, and many of you wrote comments. I can see the comments on this photo by tapping on comments. And yeah, sorry about the food poisoning. Yeah, okay.
Me too.
And if there were no comments, then you see comment, and there's no number. Here is one that has 2 comments on it, one of which I wrote. And notice that I even put a link. Comments is one place where you can put a clickable link. So if you want to give people more information about what's going on in the photo, you can do that in comments on a shared album. So, back here, that's 3 different ways to have text in your album. Description, which is attached to the photo, text block, which is just part of the album, or comment, which is the activity that's attached to the album. All right. And lastly, automatically adding people. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but if you want to send your son all the photos of you, or this is actually done more for younger people wanting to share pictures of their kids with grandma and grandpa, you can automatically have every photo of a person added to an album, and then that album can be shared. You open an existing album and then 3-dot menu and options, automatically add people. Let me demo this. I, once again, will do it on the phone. Anything I can do on the phone pretty much can be done on the computer. And I noticed this one here that has Techno RV. Now I have a lot of business cards in this one, but Techno RV is run by our friends Eric and Tammy. And I figured, gee, I think maybe I want to put all the photos of Eric and Tammy in here. 3-dot menu and options. And I already did it. I forgot that I was playing and checking this out. So, but what you would do, I will stop and I will stop. You tap the plus and you find the person that you want to be automatically added. There she is, Tammy. Now, notice that there is an also add existing photos. if I do not check that, nothing will happen right away. It will only add any new photos that I take of a person. But if I do check that, then it will add all existing photos of that person. So now we have that. Okay. So that's called a live album or an auto-updated album. Google knows how to identify faces, and it'll automatically put them in albums for you. Last chance for questions.
Susan says, when I cast my albums to the TV, they're too big for the screen. It could be the resolution on your TV.
Sounds like a resolution issue, yeah.
But all TVs are different, and there might be settings, and there might be automatic settings that it's being over. I don't know.
We have our photos showing on our brand new big screen TV.
And they look beautiful.
Oh, it's so nice.
And they're in the right. So I'm not sure, Susan. That's sorry. Well, did you learn something? I know I did. Okay, let's go through it. I have some questions, or Chris has some questions for you. The purpose of Google Photos albums is A, a place for everything and anything in its place. To B, tell a story, or C, showcase the best photos.
I say it's B and C. It is not A. Unless you are a number 5 on my IPO scale, you use albums just to cherry pick from your library of photos so that you can tell a story or showcase your best.
Okay. True or false? When you add a photo to an album, it makes a copy.
False. It's just a pointer. Your photo only is stored once.
Right. To mark a photo as a favorite, A, Control F, B, click the star, or C, the 3-dot menu and favorite.
Click the star. It's so easy. I mean, if you are at just a number 1 or 2 on my IPO scale, all you need to learn is favorites.
Yep. To see text when viewing photos full screen, A, use album text blocks, B, use descriptions, or C, use comments.
B, descriptions. Add a description to a photo. It will show up when you're viewing in full screen the photos in an album.
True or false? Albums can contain videos as well as photos.
Absolutely. That's some of the best stuff.
You bet. All right, that's it, I think.
No, there's one more.
There's there? Go ahead.
True or false? You can find albums using search. True. Absolutely true. If you
sometimes that's the only way to find
Sometimes that's the only, if you have hundreds of albums like I do.
Yeah. Okay, a reminder about the Backstage Pass. There's a new link. It will be, or it was in the email that Chris sent out earlier today to our premium members, and it's on the login page, geeksontour.com.
And it's not a new link since last time. It's just a new link for this year. So if you haven't been with us for a while, make sure you use the link in the email that was sent out today.
And if you're a premium member, please do stop by and say hi at the Zoom meeting. It'll be right after this show.
Well, maybe 5 minutes or so after.
Yeah, we have to get changed and
pour the champagne.
That's right, all the important things. So, Chris, what's the webpage that lists all of our YouTube shows?
GeeksOnTour.com, and the menu item is YouTube show. All 252 of them are listed there.
Okay, and the webpage that lists all of our recent newsletters.
GeeksOnTour.com. The menu item is blogs and news. You'll see newsletters under there. We've done one a month since 2007.
Oh my goodness gracious. So why do people pay $58 a year to join Geeks on Tour?
We do have member benefits. You can ask us any question on the Q&A page, the Backstage Pass, where we have private meetings, access to hundreds of Show Me videos, ebooks, including the Learn Google Photos, written notes of these. Listen to all these benefits.
Right.
Wow.
And those notes are great.
And some people pay us just to say thank you for all the free training they get from us.
Yes, it is good stuff. So become a member at geeksontour.com/join now. You can do it right on the front page, geeksontour.com. Sign up for the free newsletters, and members get all the books. Become a premium member, subscribe to the channel, like us on Facebook, do all of those things. I'm Jim.
I'm Chris.
And we are Geeks on Tour. And we'll see you next week, I sure hope.
No, not next week, but maybe
weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Every week is just too much.
Who knows? Yeah, okay. I'm with you.
Besides, we're at my 50th high school reunion next weekend. 50th high school reunion.
Twice removed.
2 years postponed.
Yeah, so that should be fun. And, well, stay tuned. We'll be seeing you later.
And see our members backstage in just a few minutes.